right. Thank you everyone for being here today. It's very hot, but we're glad that you're with us. And oftentimes when I think about things that are as trivial as, oh, I'm so hot right now and this is uncomfortable, I think about people who've had to endure much more discomfort, like Soomaya Javadi, who is an Afghan woman who has a harrowing tale of escaping Afghanistan and the trauma that she and her family have experienced for generations, and that is strictly because she comes from the Hazara ethnic minority. So I'm going to turn it over to you and
Thank you, Suzanne.
tell us who you are and how you got out of Afghanistan to start.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. I feel very privileged to be here talking to you. I just want to give you some context from before so you can know me better and you can understand my journey better. In 1880s, around 140 years ago, there was a Pashtun king in Afghanistan whose name was Abdurrahman Khan. He commanded his army to attack Hazara areas, to attack Hazara people, who are the most persecuted ethnic group in Afghanistan. He has a quote. He says, "Hazara's heads are mine. Their wives, children, and lands are yours." Abdurrahman Khan's army killed and removed 62% of the Hazara population in Afghanistan through exile, through forced immigration, killing, and enslavement. My great-grandfather was about only 12 when he was forced to leave his home while he had lost all his family due to the killings. Abdurrahman Khan's army, they killed people and they beheaded people and they made piles of heads of Hazara people. And then this genocide against Hazara people in Afghanistan continued for over 100 years. In 1993, the Mujahideen government, they commanded to attack a Hazara populated area in Afshar in Kabul, and it was crazy. It was a killing frenzy. They attacked civilians, they slit people's throats in front of their family members, they beheaded people, they dismembered people, the mutilations that they did. I give you one example to see the extent of the hatred that they had towards us. They would cut people's genitalia and then they would put the corpse on the streets and they wouldn't allow people to bury their loved ones. In 1998, when the Taliban attacked Mazar Sharif in northern Afghanistan, they killed 2,000 to 8,000 Hazara people in just 3 days. In just 3 days of the Taliban rule, that was what happened to Hazara people. They would leave the corpse in city, they wouldn't allow people to bury their loved ones, and they would do the most brutal things that a human mind can think of to the Hazara people. And this genocide continued even to this date. In May 2020, there was a terrorist attack in a maternity hospital in Dashtabarchi, western Kabul, a Hazara populated area, and it targeted a maternity hospital. The terrorists shot dead midwives, nurses, women minutes and hours away from giving birth. They shot dead 2 newborns. I can never forget the video of a man holding his wife and his newborn that were shot dead just because they were Hazara, just because we are Hazara, and we are ethnically different, we are religiously different, we have a different face. This is our fate in Afghanistan. And then I am going to give more examples, and then I will go to my own story. In May 2021, the terrorists attacked a high school, a girls' high school in western Kabul, in Dashtabachi, the same Hazara populated area, and they killed more than 80 schoolgirls, teenagers, a 7-year-old girl who just wanted to go to school, who was just coming back from school. And last year, in September 2022, a terrorist, a suicide bomber, went in a classroom full of students in the Kaj Educational Center, and he detonated his explosives among that classroom full of students and hundreds of students who were just there to practice a university entrance exam for a university entrance exam that never happened. They killed people. And one of the girls that were killed in that terrorist attack, whose name was Marzia, her diary was vastly shared on social media, and in her diary she would say that, I wish I could go to Paris. I wish I could ride a bicycle, listening to music. That was a dream for her. I wish I could meet Elif Shafak, who is a Turkish writer. My people are being killed in Afghanistan, and there is a genocide going on against my people, Hazara people in Afghanistan, just because of our identity. So if I wanted to introduce myself, I would say that I am a woman, and I am Hazara, and I am Shia, which puts me triply inferior, triply at target, and at risk in Afghanistan. I was a dentistry student when the Taliban came and took over. I was a dentistry student. I have studied 5.5 years of dentistry, and I was a few months away from graduation. I was going to be a dentist just in a few months, and then the Taliban came and everything fell apart. I remember when I was a child, I loved when my mom read books to me. I loved the stories, and I couldn't read at that time. I was a child, and I asked my mom that, who writes these books? And she said, writers. And I said, I want to become a writer. I don't remember what kind of stories I wanted to tell at that age. But now this is my story. Now this is what I am telling people. And when I grew up, little by little, I started to read more books. I decided that I don't want hijab. I decided that I am a feminist. I still have a Telegram channel that the title is A Room of One's Own, in which I would put the poems I liked, in which I would write for myself and for my friends. I read in The Second Sex that Simone de Beauvoir says that one is not born a woman, but rather becomes a woman, and I wondered who I would become. On August 15th, 2021, at 6 p.m., I realized that Kabul had fallen to the Taliban. My brother and I, we were so scared, and that was what the Taliban were capable of. We knew the history, we knew what they were capable of doing with women and with Hazara people. So my brother, my 15-year-old brother, and I, we packed our books in big bags. We carried them downstairs to our backyard, and we buried many of them. We burned some of them, I buried the second sex. I buried the enchanted soul. I buried the Les Miserables. I buried the books that was my gateway to my knowledge, my identity, how I would know myself. At 4 a.m. in the morning, beside my empty bookcase, I was so numb. I felt like I am not dead, but the Taliban are pouring soil on me, and what was very hard was that the whole world was ignoring me as if I don't exist, as if Afghan women don't exist, as if Hazar people don't exist. And that is why I am here, to tell you stories.
So how did you get out?
So, my family and I, we traveled across Afghanistan for a month, searching for a way out. It was impossible. It was impossible. The Taliban wouldn't allow you to go to go out. Even at the airport, the Taliban would treat Pashtun people who want to get out better than us.
And they knew you were a Hazara because of your brother, because your face was covered, right?
My face was covered, but I was with my brother, I was with my father, and as soon as they see you, as soon as they look at you, they will know you are Hazara, so you are at risk. So we traveled across Afghanistan, and there was this foundation, 30 Birds Foundation, who are just ordinary people, writers and journalists who decided that they wanted to do something about it. They didn't want to sit back and watch us and our lives falling apart. They helped us and they told us to go to Mazar Sharif, and from there we were going to take an airplane and fly. We went to Mazar Sharif. It's a 7 to 10 hours way. It's a 7 to 10 hour journey from Kabul to Mazar Sharif. We went there and we stayed there around 2 weeks. But the plane never took off because it didn't. And then they told us, so it's not gonna work, go back home, go back to Kabul. And we took a bus and we went back to Kabul. But in the middle of the way, the bus broke down. It just broke down, it was bad luck. And we were in the middle of nowhere, between the mountains, walking for hours because there was no empty car or bus that could take us to the next city. I still have the videos of us walking through those mountains for hours. We had just one suitcase. We didn't take anything with us, maybe just a pair of clothes, toothbrush. We left, we were going to leave our home and our, the home, the places that we loved, the people that we loved, the objects that we loved. We just left all of those things behind. And when we were walking through those mountains, the Taliban were passing us with their guns, and I had this huge hijab on me, the black scarf. It was huge, covering my face, my whole body, and it wasn't
hot, right?
And it was summer, and it was hot, but that wasn't the real problem. For me, it was like I decided to put hijab away. I decided I didn't want this, and that hijab was against any belief that I had, and the Taliban were forcing that onto me. And my father was like, don't look at them, walk as if they are not here. We managed to find a car. We went back to Kabul, and that night they told us, we had a WhatsApp group, and the 30 Birds Foundation managed to evacuate more than 450 people from Afghanistan, and they said that we want you to, the night that we arrived home, they said that tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. you should be at the Torkham border, which is in southern Afghanistan, between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and they told us that we should go there. And they said that we need volunteers to go first and see if the Taliban will let you pass. We volunteered, and at 8 a.m. in the morning we should have been there, so we took a van, we went to the Torkham border, and we slept on the ground, on a dirty ground, nothing, near the border. And I remember that when they told us that you should go there, I was cooking qabili. I was like, if I'm gonna die, at least I just want to enjoy the food. I cooked that, and we took it with us at the border. We ate that, and we slept on the ground. And in those moments, I was so numb. I was so dreamless. I felt the most forgotten and the most ignored in the world. I was thinking how this could have happened to us, and no one cares. Why no one cares? I wondered, have I ever existed? I was a dentistry student. I was a Hazara woman in Afghanistan through all those discriminations that when I went to university, when I went to school, when I went to work, I was discriminated every day. But I was fighting for my freedom. I wanted to be a free, independent Hazara woman who is a dentist. But I was fighting for that. And I felt at that moment, have I ever existed? Has my life ever existed? And at 8 a.m. in the morning, we were in lines, men and women separately, and the Taliban would hit people with the bottom of their guns and say that you're too close to women, get away, go this way, go that way, and so violent. We made it to Pakistan, and I saw my little sister, Suwaida, who was 9 years old at the time, and she was so silent during that 1 month under the Taliban rule. She wouldn't talk. She would feel the pressure that all of us were going through. She started capering about. She started, walking like this and singing as if she had grown wings. And I thought with myself that I am forever thankful for the people that gave us that moment. That I saw her free, and I saw her enjoying her freedom. And then we made it to Pakistan. We were not sure that we will find a home again. We were not sure about that. But after a month, the government of Canada accepted us, and I want to thank Canada. Thank you, Canada, that a country that accepted 40,000 Afghans in a world that we were ignored. So that's how I escaped.
And how do you feel now? Do you still feel ignored?
I want to admit that I am very alone in my battle with the Taliban. As a Hazara woman, right now in Afghanistan, the Taliban have impunity to do anything they want. For example, they force my people, Hazara people, to leave their lands. They are confiscating Hazara lands. They give people 3 days, 10 days, 2 weeks, and you have to leave your land. And when the people go and go to the authorities, to the local authorities, to show their documents and they say that these lands belong to us, the authorities are the Taliban. And they are aiming to give away those lands to the Pashtun nomads, which we call Kuchi. They are going to give those lands to the Kuchi. Zabihullah Mujahid, the spokesman of the Taliban, he said that they are aiming to relocate the Pashtun immigrants from Pakistan from the border to the northern Afghanistan. How they are doing that? They are removing other people from their homes.
And where do they expect the people who are in their homes to go?
Where do anyone expect? Like, it's a genocide. It's a genocide. They want us to just be removed. This is a first-hand thing that I am going to tell you. The Taliban, when they went to Daikundi, they said to the Hazara villagers that we were going to enjoy killing you, but you were so peaceful that we didn't have any excuse to do that. But we are looking for a reason and for an excuse. You know, through the stories that I have told you, now you know that what they have done before and what they are capable of doing now. So my plea is that I am appealing to you, if you know anyone who can influence, if you have influence, if you are a lawyer that who started law school with the dream of bringing justice and fairness to the world, if you are a journalist who started being a journalist dreaming to raise awareness, my people, Hazara people, need you now, because no one is talking about us. Afghan women need you now. Being a woman under the Taliban control is not only a gender apartheid. It's not only being inferior, it's like being nothing. I was there, not being allowed to go to school, not being allowed to go to work, not being allowed to go out without a male chaperone, not being allowed to go to park, to gym, to restaurant, not being allowed to dream, not being allowed to think, not being allowed to have a wish. It means to be nothing, and I don't think that it's something just about Afghanistan.
It's women. Why are the Taliban so afraid of women?
I mean, everywhere in the world, at different levels, women had their own fight for equality. At different levels and at different times. And this is our fight. The women I know in Afghanistan are very much like me. They want freedom. They want education. My friends in Afghanistan, they want education. I told you about Sayyid al-Shuhada High School, which was attacked by the terrorists, and 80 schoolgirls were killed in that attack. Hundreds were injured. The next weeks, people still were sending their daughters to school. There was another attack on boys' school, Abdul Rahim Shahid High School, which is a boys' school in Afghanistan, in western Kabul, the same Hazara populated area. The next weeks, people were still sending their children to go to school because we believe in education, because we want education. We know education as a way to freedom. And that's our fight. That's why the Taliban are so afraid. They are afraid of people knowing things. And they are afraid of educated women who can object their rules.
They don't feel secure in their power.
No.
So why the Hazara community specifically is so scary to them? What is it about being Hazara that is so scary to them?
When I think of Hazara people in Afghanistan, I think of Yazidi people who were massacred by ISIS. I think of the Uyghur women who are being massacred and there is a genocide going on against them. Have they done something wrong? No, they were just born to that. And Hazara people in Afghanistan, we were just born to it.
And it's just because you're different than them.
It's because the differences. It was always about the differences and about the Taliban, one race, one gender, and one religion, wanting to exclude every other people, every other ethnicity, every woman, everyone else from the power. It's about power. It's about them being the most exclusive about all of us.
So how does the international community stop this?
So I want the UN Security Council, they said that they are Pashtunizing the Taliban are using Pashtunized policies. So it's not only me. They are the Pashtuns, the Pashtun Taliban, I mean. They are removing my language, Farsi, Dari, Persian, from all the signs, like the signs on the shops, everywhere. It used to be in English, in Pashto, and in Farsi, Dari. But now they are removing my language, and they are removing my people from their homelands. And they have impunity. I want you to take their impunity away from them. I am appealing to you, I am appealing to the International Criminal Court to bring them to the court, to ask them, to question them. What is going on in Daikundi? What are you doing with Hazara people in Uruzgan? What are you doing with Aliya Azizi, who went missing in Herat and who was forced to marry a Taliban commander while she had husband, while she had children? I want you to question the Taliban, why and what they are doing. I want you to investigate. I am appealing to UN to investigate thoroughly the Hazara genocide in Afghanistan, to recognize the Hazara genocide in Afghanistan. It will help us a lot. We don't want to be ignored. We are so alone. I am so alone. People rarely talk about Afghanistan, about Afghan women, let alone Hazara people in the international community. We need allies, we need friends, we need more voices, and we need a thorough investigation of Hazara genocide in Afghanistan that is being done for over 100 years.
I covered the Yazidi massacre on the ground in Iraq, and it was one of the reasons why I decided to create the series that I host, Women Building Peace, because the stories of the women in conflict zones are often ignored. And so, and the media is guilty of this as well, as that we're often reacting to these stories rather than proactively covering them, and then as a result the international community, whether that's the legal system or the political system, proactively working to prevent this. And so you've mentioned the Yazidis, you've mentioned the Uyghurs. The Yazidi genocide happened, the Uyghur genocide is happening. Would you say that the Hazaras are currently in the midst of a genocide?
They are in the midst of this genocide. We are in the midst of a genocide that was going on from 140 years ago, from my great-grandfather until me, through generations, and no one talks about it. I want to raise awareness, and I want you to care. I want you to care.
You've mentioned influential people. Who is that influential person that you're thinking of, and what would you say to them if you were able to come face to face with them?
First of all, I would say that please do not shake the Taliban's hands. Do not talk to them. They are not the real representatives of Afghan people. None of us believe in them, and I have lived under the Taliban rule in Afghanistan for a month, and I have connection with my people, with my friends back home, and I know that there is a food crisis in Afghanistan. I know that there is poverty, but we would rather starve than the international community approving the Taliban. The international community shake the hands of the Taliban. We want to be free. We want education, and for my people, we just want to live in our own homeland.